Welcome back to Max Reaction. Hopefully you're having a good day, fantastic day. Let me know how you're doing down below in the comments. If you're new to the channel, let me know where you're from. I like to see where everybody's coming from to view the videos. Anyway, you can see we got this plaque, and that's all because of you guys and ladies. Without you, I wouldn't be able to get it at all. It takes 100,000 of you, and I'm so thankful that 100,000 people actually subscribe and would be willing to watch me. It's very humbling, so thank you again. Anyway, we're going to check out a video called What Would the World Do Without the Philippines? And I don't even want to think of that. I really don't. That's very depressing to think if that had come true. 120, 130 million people, I think, just gone. That's just so depressing. And it's people, you know, the majority of Filipinos, at least who I have met in person and through online, are happy and they enjoy life. And really, I've learned from them because, you know, life gets stressful, and I see what people go through. They go through much more than what I've went through, and they can still have a smile on their face. So if they can do that, I know I can too. So I've definitely learned from the Philippine people. We all know there's, I don't know, like 1 million nurses probably overseas in different countries, helping people, healing people, taking care of people. So all those people would be gone as well if the Philippines didn't exist. That's just so sad. And of course, you know, the Philippines is super beautiful. It's a beautiful country. The natural beauty is one of the top ones in the world. I mean, between the volcanoes, the mountains, you know, the ocean, the beaches, and everything in between, it's just an amazing country. You could spend a lifetime trying to find and see all the beauty that the Philippines has to offer. So we're going to check this video out. Another thing, you know, it's depressing. Without the Philippines, I wouldn't have my wife, because if you don't know, she's Filipino, or my two youngest, because they're half Filipino. So it's very depressing. I don't even want to think about that. So we're going to check out and see what Reagan has to say. Let's see if we learn anything. Let's see if we agree with what she has to say. And if you've made it this far, definitely comment down in the comments. I love comments, so take a couple extra seconds if you have them, and definitely comment down below. I love to read comments. So let's check this out.
That is taken for granted more than any other place. This country is home to the kindest individuals with an incredible love for life.
I agree.
They're responsible for inventing video calls, baby incubators for rural areas, and they also play a massive role in the invention of chips that we use in so many of our computers today.
And I really didn't know how much things the Philippines people invented until I've done some research. I have a couple videos on inventions of the Philippines and from the Philippines. So it's just amazing, you know. You take all that away, life's a little bit more difficult without chips for computers. Wouldn't you say? I do.
This country has citizens living all over the world to help you and I, to help the elderly, the sick, the poor, and many of them go totally unnoticed.
That's sad.
When I told you that they are taken for granted, I meant it. With scarce opportunities, many family members make the tough decisions to go and work overseas so that they can better provide for their loved ones. The Philippines...
I can't imagine that too, you know. Would I be willing to be an OFW if I had to be? Yes, to support my family, to make sure, to provide for my family's needs, to make sure they had food on the table and a place to live. Absolutely. But I've never had to do that, so I'm trying to imagine how hard it is, but I can't fully imagine unless you actually experience it. There's so many people that do that from the Philippines. My wife's not an OFW, but she did move away from her family and start a family with me over here. Hopefully one day we can move to the Philippines so we can be around her family, but she's away from her family, and that kind of bothers me, because I know it bothers her. It's hard to be away from people that, you know, you grew up with, you know, your mom, dad, brothers, cousins, whoever, friends. That's just so tough, so tough. And especially for people that has children over there. My course, my wife don't have any children over there. Our first children was with me, but for the OFWs that have children in another country and you don't get to spend time with them, you don't get to see them, you don't get to hug them, you don't get to hold them, that's just tough.
The Filipino government has capitalized on this phenomenon and is actively exporting people for profit, bringing over $30 billion a year into the country. In fact, the Philippines is the top supplier of nurses in the world, with about 25% of all overseas nurses coming from the country. And especially now, during COVID, the demand for Filipino caregivers and nurses is higher than ever. Without the Philippines, the world might look something like this.
Dark, black.
We would lose 7,641 islands, with a total landmass of 300,000 square kilometers. These breathtakingly beautiful islands are known for their agriculture, and they're home to over 35% of the world's coral reefs.
Wow.
Without the Philippines,
35%.
we would lose an invaluable amount of the dwindling supply of coral reefs that we have left. The luscious soil on the islands is so rich and fertile that crops can be planted all year round. So with no Philippines, there would be a huge shortage in the production of imported coconuts, bananas, and tropical fruits from all around the world.
Don't forget the mangoes! I know it's not as good as picking it off the tree and eating it, but we do get mangoes from the Philippines all the way where I live in the central part of the United States, and you better believe we do still buy some.
As a blossoming and developing tech giant, the Philippines is known as the text capital of the world, where the country sends in excess of 400 million text messages every single day. And just so you could get a sense of how much I love this country, there are two things that you should look at. One, the heart-wrenchingly intimate care that families give their elders. As a country with massive poverty issues, many families are not able to afford care. So caring for those who have reached an older age has become deeply embedded in the backbone of their society.
And I love that. That's just so precious. You don't find that often over here in the United States and probably in other countries, but you definitely find that in the Philippines. And that's just something special, you know? I mean, it really is.
Young children are often taught to greet their elders with a gesture called mano po to express profound respect. 2. The Philippines is the gold standard in Asia for how women should be treated in society. The Global Gender Gap Rankings Index had New Zealand and the Philippines directly competing for the top 2 spots over the past 10 years, blowing other East Asian countries far out of the water, beating the US and many other mainstream developed countries by a long shot.
That's awesome.
The bottom line is that without the Philippines, the world would be less flavorful and not nearly as charming, and definitely a lot less magical. So in order to sustain one of the most important and resourceful places on the earth, as much as we need them, we also have to meet that need with an equal measure of appreciation.
This video is like all heartwarming. I'm telling you, Reagan's doing a very good job explaining why the world would be a little bit darker, a little bit unhappier place without the Philippines. What an amazing video.
Living in the Philippines is not always easy. There are people living in very tough situations, and there are many places that are soaked in poverty. And that's why so many families are making the sacrifice of sending their loved ones overseas. In the beginning of this video, I said that the Philippines is the place in this world that is most taken for granted, and I stand by that statement.
I'll stand with you, sister.
A big part of my company, Regan Hillier International, is employing people within the Philippines.
Awesome.
These people are a very big part of my heart, and I made this video to show my massive gratitude to one of, I believe, the best countries on the planet. Please join me in thanking the Philippines.
That is heartwarming.
And write, thank you Philippines. Maybe even tag in a Filipino who you know and love and who you want to acknowledge today. Let's share this video to show appreciation and to show the rest of the world what an amazing place the Philippines is. My name is Regan Hillier, and thank you so much for watching.
That was an amazingly heartwarming, sincere, you could tell how sincere she is, video, and I agree with everything she had to say, every bit of it. And yeah, let's not imagine the Philippines not being here. That's just a horrible thought. Horrible thought. Anyway, you heard my thoughts. You heard what I thought. Do you agree with Reagan and everything she said? I don't know if you do or not, unless you tell me. So definitely comment down below in the comment section. Definitely, if you have something you would like me to react to or check out, definitely drop a comment down below. And if you would, please share the video, because sharing is how the channel gets found, or one of the ways it gets found. Anyway, thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for the comments, and hopefully I see you next time. But for now, peace, love, happiness. Spread it, please.